Hello YouTubers! Alright, here we have my Lulzbot Mini 3D printer. And I had thought about doing an unboxing video, but there are so many of those out there that I figured doesn't make any sense. So I was thinking what I could do is some videos on some upgrades that I'm making to mine. So the first one, which we'll be talking about in this video, is adding some lighting so that the build platform and the printing action can be seen while it's actually printing. So we'll talk about that now. Okay, so you might notice on top here I've got actually the LED lighting, and I'll put parts for all this stuff in the description. And what we have here is actually the LED lighting controller, and it's just connected to this two pair of wire here, and I just have it taped down because I wanted to go ahead and kind of simulate what it would look like in the orientation that I plan to mount it. And what I was thinking about doing is mounting it underneath, that way it's not directly in your eyes. Hopefully it'll be sort of out of the way but shining down and illuminating. And I was also thinking about putting one here in this corner to illuminate the build platform coming from this direction, because if you look at the extruder, you can see that there's actually an area here where it's exposed, but on this side there's a couple of fans and some electronics. So I thought it would be nice to illuminate from this direction so that you don't get any shadows. The other option, of course, was this corner. I tried it with just the lighting up top, as you can see here, and there's some shadows on the build platform created by all of this. So when I do this in the final iteration, like I said, I think I'm going to put a strip here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like turned on. I think it actually looks pretty cool. So it's kind of nice. It comes with this controller, and it's just a tiny little controller, and it gives you a bunch of different presets for the colors. Here's your on-off button. You can dim or increase the brightness, and then you can actually tweak the colors here, and then there's some different kind of like light shows. I don't plan on doing any of that. I think I'm gonna just try to pick some colors. So anyway, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing on, and that's an example of one of the colors. I kind of liked this one because I thought it kind of had some neat effects. It's almost like a black light, and that being the case, like these fluorescent items here kind of fluoresce pretty nicely. And of course, you know, if you're building with this color filament or maybe some other ones, your item should also sort of fluoresce like that. So I'm going to try some different colors here so you can kind of check it out. There's red. Actually, let me go ahead and dim the room lighting so you can get a better idea. Okay, so I've actually done a couple of things here. I've turned down the room lighting, and I've also lowered the camera here so that the LED lighting over there is out of the frame, because that was kind of blowing things out. And here you can also see like all of the components of the printer. So the first setting here is just white light, and I'm going to go ahead and change through a couple of different colors. So there's what they call strictly blue. Kind of looks like black lighting, but the bright parts of the printer aren't sort of fluorescing, so I don't really think it's a black light color. There's green, there's red. Like I said, there's a bunch of other colors, but I wanted to show you a couple of these. So this one might be my favorite of the preset colors because it's kind of a nice combination of illuminating and causing the kind of giving it a black light effect. That one's a little bit too green. That one's a little too red or purple or something. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So I think the next step is I'm actually going to mount this thing, and then I'll be right back with you. Oh, I wanted to make a note too. One of the things I'm thinking about doing, and this might be part 2, but as you can see here, this is the area where most of the cables actually come out for the machine. And I'm thinking about routing out of that hole, first of all. And then the other thing is, on the side here, is actually the integrated power supply for the Lulzbot Mini, as you can see over here. And part 2 will be taking that cover off, looking at the electronics and trying to see if I can power this whole thing using the Mini's power supply. Because right now, it requires this little 12-volt wall wart. And I figure with not using all of this, it won't really consume that much current. So we should be all right. All right, let me hook this up and I'll be back with you. Okay, now here's the finished product. I actually think it's a pretty good success. What I was going for is, from this angle here, I wanted all the lighting to be hidden. And I think it worked out that way. I'm gonna go ahead and try to show you exactly where it's been placed. Well, maybe I'll do this. First, I'll turn it on. Okay, so there you go. That's what it looks like lit up. And yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. And I think there's a lot of light in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off again. And then I'll try to show you the track, and I'll apologize in advance if some of this comes out blurry. So I started it down in that corner over there. And you can see that the lead where that goes to the controller is right there. So it's kind of bent at like a 75-degree angle or something down there, or 35-degree, whatever. And then I have it going up that inside face there. And then up at the top in the corner, I have it going along this plane up at the top. So there's a little twist in the corner. And then let it focus there. And then I have it running across that plastic piece. And then in the inside there. And then in the back, that's gonna be tough. I have it mounted on that surface up at the top. And then it wraps all the way around. And again, there's that other mounting point that controls the up and down movement of the plate. And then on that surface there, I did something a little bit different than what I did in the back. I have the illumination facing forward, so it's mounted on like sort of, sorry, this plane. I'll go ahead and turn it on and then do another walk around. Maybe that'll help. So there's the track. Okay. And then I go back around. Okay, pretty cool. So I'm gonna turn down the room lighting and show you what this looks like. So there you have it with the room lighting turned down. And like I said, I think it really illuminates everything nicely. I'll actually do a sample print here in a minute, and you can actually see it in action. I wanted to go over a couple of items too. And by the way, that whole thing took about, I would say 20 minutes, so it's really not that long of an endeavor. These strips, let me turn this off. You can see they're kind of peeling away in a couple of areas here. Everywhere else I think they're doing pretty good. Who knows about the longevity, but you know, they claim this is 3M adhesive. I'm not sure if it is, but if it only bulges out there, then I'm not too worried about it. I might even try to come up with a solution. Maybe I'll glue it down or something, but I'm not too worried about it as long as it stays in the other areas. And it seems to adhere really well on all the flat surfaces. So a couple of tips. The first thing I did is I kind of tried to just wrap it around on the top to kind of get a feel for the length, because you don't want to be dealing with this like 25 feet worth of LED. So I got an approximate length. I ended up coming out pretty well. I had about a foot left. So I think, you know, I would definitely recommend doing that. And then as I was attaching this to the different areas, I was just peeling away the adhesive backing just a little bit at a time, or whatever made sense. So that was right before I got ready to press down a fairly long area. And overall, you know, it wasn't that hard. There's a couple of tight spots, but as long as I think if you work around the device and kind of, you know, move your position as necessary so you can really get in there with your fingers, then you're not going to have too difficult of a time. Okay, so here we go. This thing's going to start printing pretty soon. So what it's doing right now is it's cleaning the print head. I'll make some comments in a second about the color of the light too. Okay, now it's aligning the print head, or I guess it's actually leveling the print bed. Is probably more to the, is more correct. So yeah, about the lighting, I had actually indicated before that I thought that was probably the best lighting, which is this button right here. And I think what the problem was is I had the light turned up too bright, and I ended up installing more lighting than I actually originally intended. And with the additional lighting, this actually doesn't look that great. I mean, it is nice, you know, it definitely illuminates the area and you get a little bit of fluorescing of those parts. But I actually picked this button right here, and I think that actually looks a little bit more ultraviolet. It's a little bit blown out in the camera, again, because there's more footage of lighting than I had originally intended to install. But I can turn it down, and I think in so doing, it actually comes out a little bit better on film, or on the camera, the digital camera. Somewhere around there might be pretty cool. Anyway, I'm gonna let this thing print. One of the first things that I decided I needed was a filament clip. So I found one on Thingiverse, and I'm gonna print it. I'm just gonna let this thing run for a little while, so you know, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, thank you very much for checking out my video. If you liked it, then please feel free to comment or like the video. That'd be awesome. And I hope you enjoy. Till the next time. Oh, before I go, how about a little of this? That can get pretty crazy. A couple of different effects here. These are the fades. This one's called Jump. Anyway, I think I'm gonna just stick with the standard UV-ish light. There you go.